Dear students, let us see Fermat's little theorem, some concept and a lemma and then the theorem. In the last session we saw this one. Let P be a prime number 7 and A is some 12. Clearly 7 won't divide 12, P does not divide A. And we go for 1 into 12, 2 into 12, 3 into 12, etc. P minus 1, 6 into 12, and we find the reminders when we divide reminders modulo 7, and we find this number modulo 7, and we get the reminders like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6. We get all the reminders. We get all the least residues of 7, but in some different order. Here we did not get 1. We have got 5 here. What are the least residues for 7? For 7, the least residues are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. But excluding 0, we have got all the least residues when we take modulo 7 from these 1, 2 into 12, 2 into 12 and 3 into 12, etc. 6 into 12. But we have got these least residues but in some different order, some order. By this idea we are going to prove this lemma. What is it lemma? Like 7, here there is a prime. Like this 12, there is some number A such that P does not divide A. Then the least residues of the integers, this A, 1 into A, 2 into A, 3 into A, etc. P minus 1 times A modulo P, are a permutation of the integers 1, 2, 3, etc. P minus 1. What we are doing? We are taking A modulo P, we are finding A modulo P, 2A modulo P, 3A modulo P and P minus 1 times A modulo P. We will get some least residues in each time, right? Those, if we collect all those least residues, we will get this set. We will get this set of this set. We have to show this one. So to prove this one, first we show that none of this number is congruent to 0 modulo P. What I am trying to say, we won't get the 0 residue at any time. First we shall show that I is a number 1, 2, 3, etc. IA is not congruent to 0 mod P for any I from 1 to P minus 1. Suppose IA is congruent to 0 mod P. What happens? In that case, P divides IA. But P cannot divide A because it is given. P does not divide A. P does not divide A. B and A are relatively prime. So P must divide I only. P divides I. This is also contradiction. I is smaller than P. I is smaller than P, greater than or equal to 1. So P cannot divide I. So which is impossible. It's a contradiction. So this cannot be 0 mod P. So what we have got? IA is always not congruent to 0 mod P. So if you take modulo P for these numbers separately, at any time we won't get 0. The least residue will be between the numbers 1, 2, 3, etc. P minus 1 from this set only. And since I is less than P, okay. So the least residue of IA modulo P belong to this set only, okay. And secondly we show that if you find modulo P here, we will get a residue. If you find modulo P for this one, we will get a residue. These two residues will be distinct. for any two numbers here, if we find modulo p, we will get two distinct residues. If you take three numbers and find the modulo p, we will get three distinct residues. Secondly, now we show that IA is not congruent to JA mod P if I is not equal to J. That means if we find IA mod P and JA modulo P, the residue won't be equal. Suppose equality happens for when I is not equal to J. What happens? P, this can be taken this side, right? So A times I minus J is congruent to 0 mod P. But A and P are relatively prime. So P must divide I minus J. But P cannot divide I minus J because both are smaller than P. I and J are less than or equal to 1 and greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to P minus 1. So the difference will be less than P and won't be 0 because they are distinct. So P cannot divide I minus J. So this is contradiction, right? Because this is congruent to 0 mod P. This implies and P cannot divide A, and P, this implies we get P divides I minus J, but due to these things we get P does not divide I minus J. So this cannot happen. So we get IA is not congruent to JA mod P if I is not equal to J. Actually, what this says, this means that if I and J are distinct, then the least residues of IA and JA modulo P are distinct. It's so important. This means that if I and J are distinct, then the least residues of IA and JA modulo P are distinct. So the theorem is over. So if we collect all the least residues of IA, where I from 1 to P minus 1 modulo P, we get this one. We are collecting all the residue. Collect all the least residues of IA modulo P. We get this one. 1A mod P, find 1A modulo P, 2A modulo P, and etc. P minus 1A modulo P. In each time we are getting some reminders, residues, some numbers. Okay, we are getting some numbers, but in each time we are getting some different numbers other than 0, but greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to P minus 1. That means surely we have to attain all these numbers, right? So these numbers will be in some order here, right? So that's all. So that lemma is over. What is the lemma? If you find the least residues for this set modulo P, if you find the least residue modulo P to this set, we will get this set. If we find least residue modulo P for these numbers, we will get, if we find least residue modulo P for these numbers, we will get the residues, and if we collect those residues, we will get this set. Okay, this set. And we have proved this lemma. Now by using this lemma, we shall solve Fermat's little theorem. What is Fermat's little theorem? Let P be a prime number and A be any integer such that P does not divide A. Then A to the power P minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo P. This is a powerful theorem. This will be useful to find the reminders, used to solve some problems very easily. For example, if such problems are given, we can solve very easily. Find the remainder when this is divided by this number. So this is a somewhat powerful theorem, because a be any integer, okay, p be a prime number. If p doesn't divide a, then immediately we can write a is congruent to p. A to the power p minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo p. It's so immediate. For example, take some 2, 5, 4. This is not divisible by 3, right? Not divisible by 3. So this square is congruent to 1 mod 3. It is immediate. It is so immediate. If this number is not divisible by 3, it is p minus 1. Okay. By previous lemma, the least residues of the integers, this one, just recall, this is actually crisply we have written this previous lemma. By the previous lemma, the least residues of the integers, this one, modulo p, are the same as the integers 1 to p minus 1 in some order. Right? So, if you multiple these numbers, this will be congruent to 1, 2, 3, etc. this product modulo p. How this comes? Because take this one, a is congruent to something modulo p, and 2a is congruent to something modulo p, etc, etc. P minus 1a is congruent to something modulo p, right? And multiple this together, we get this term, right? But we don't know each term, but we know that if we collect these all terms, we will get 1, 2, 3, etc. p minus 1, right? So if you multiple this right hand side terms, we get this p minus 1 factorial mod p. We get this one. This is possible, right? We have studied this one. If a1 is congruent to b1 modulo m and a2 is congruent to b2 modulo m, then what is the result? a1 a2 is congruent to a1 a2 is congruent to b1 b2 mod m, right? Using this result, we have got this line. And if you take a outside, if we collect all the a's, we get a to the power p minus 1 into p minus 1 factorial is congruent to this p minus 1 factorial into mod p. Sorry, p minus 1 factorial mod p. But p and p minus 1 factorial are relatively prime. This is relatively prime. So we can remove this p minus 1 factorial and we get a to the power p minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo p. We have got the result, right? This is called the Fermat's little theorem. Here, now multiply on both sides by a. We get a to the power p is congruent to a modulo p, right? If you multiply, we can multiply by any number, right? I am multiplying on both sides. The result is over now here. Let us see one more result. Multiply on both sides by a. We get this one, right? Okay. Where p doesn't divide a. Now consider this one. If p divides a, then also directly we get this one. P divides a to the power p will be divided by p, a will be divided by p, and whose difference also will be divided by p, right? So in any case, even if p divides does not divide a, or even if p divides a, always we get the result a to the power p is congruent to a mod p. This is true all the time for any prime number p and any integer a. But this is true only if this a, if P doesn't divide A, then only this result is true. So the Fermat's-Little theorem is over. Now let us solve a few problems. For example, P is equal to 7, A is equal to 12. Clearly P doesn't divide A. So by Fermat's theorem, immediately we can write 12 power P minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo 7, right? It is so immediate. It is so immediate by the theorem. Now let us solve a problem. Find the remainder when this is divided by 17. Whenever such problem comes, our first aim is to reduce this base. We need this one to be smaller number so that our calculation will be better. Easy. 24 is congruent to 7 modulo 17, right? Just remove 17, so the remainder we will get some 7 modulo 17. So from this one, if you take to the power 947, we get 24 to the power 1947 is congruent to 7 to the power 1947 modulo 17. So to find this one, we need to find this one, right? Now let us use Fermat's theorem. This is now a small number compared to 17. It is the least residue for the prime number 17. So now we shall apply Fermat's theorem. Here P is 17, A is 7. Clearly this won't divide this one, so we may apply Fermat's theorem. What's the theorem? A to the power P minus 1, that is 17 minus 1, is congruent to 1 modulo 17. 1 modulo 17. So we have got this one. This is so important. Immediately we have got it. We need to find this one. So this can be written as 7 power 16 times 121 plus 11. This number can be written as like this. This can be written as 7 to the power 16 to the power 121 into 7 power 11. But we know that this number is congruent to 1 modulo 17. So this also this is congruent to 1 modulo 17. So to the power we take, we will get same 1 only. Anyway, it is 1 modulo 17. So just we get 7 to the power only. So this is congruent to 7 to the power 11 modulo 17. Now we have to find this one. This is the answer. See here, we have to find this one. Actually, we have to find this modulo 17. Okay. Instead of finding this modulo 17, we are going to find this modulo 17. And instead of finding this modulo 17, now we are going to find 7 to the power 11 modulo 17. Okay. Here see, 7 square is congruent to minus 2 mod 17, right? This is 49. So 49 plus 2 is 51. 51 is congruent to 0 mod 17. So the 7 square is congruent to minus 2 mod 17. Right? Now we 7 power 11. 7 power 11 can be written as 7 square to the power 5 into 7. This is 10 plus 1. But 7 square is congruent to minus 2 mod 17. So this becomes minus 2. 5 comes as it is. So minus 2 to the power 5 into 7 modulo 17. But this is minus 32. But minus 32 is plus 2 modulo 17. Minus 32 is 2 modulo 17. So this 7 comes as it is. So this product is 14. So 7 power 11 is this one, and this is congruent to 7 to the power 1000 947, and this is congruent to 24 power this one. So we have got 24 to the power 1947 is congruent to 7 power 1947 is congruent to 7 power 11 is congruent to this modulo 7. So when this is divided by 17, we get the remainder, this 14 is the remainder. Okay students, now let us see one more theorem. Let P be a prime and A be any integer such that P does not divide A. Okay, just then A to the power P minus 2 is called the inverse of A, is the inverse of A. A to the power P minus 2 is the inverse of A modulo P, is the inverse of A modulo P. Actually we should not put the A one and only, okay, because this number is not the only one inverse. If you restrict this to the mod P only, we will get the unique inverse for this number A. That's why grammatically and only correct. Okay, P be a prime number and A be any integer such that P does not divide A. So Fermat's little theorem, we get this one immediately. A to the power P minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo P. This is Fermat theorem, right? This P minus 1 can be written as 1 plus P minus 2. Right? It's congruent to 1 modulo P. See here, I am multiplying A with this number and I am getting 1 modulo P. So this number is the inverse. This number is the inverse of A modulo P. That's all. So this number is the inverse of A modulo P. This is a one-line theorem from Fermat's little theorem. By the application of Fermat's little theorem, and we shall solve a problem by using this small application. Solve the linear congruence this one. Solve the linear congruence this one. Solve means what? Here we have to find x. See here, if we multiply by 12 inverse on both the sides, this will become 1, so we can get x immediately, right? That only we are going to do. So listen here, this 7 does not divide 12. 7 does not divide 12. So by Fermat's theorem, we get 12 power 6 is congruent to 1 modulo 7. So this can be written as 12 into 12 power 5 is congruent to 1 modulo 5. So we have found the inverse for this 12. We have found the inverse for this 12. What is the inverse? We have found the inverse for this 12 modulo 7. Okay. What is the inverse of this 12? 12 power 5 only, modulo 7. Okay. So now let us find the least residue for this 12 power 5 modulo 7. So 12 power 5 is the inverse of 12 modulo 7. But what is 12? 12 can be written as 12 is congruent to minus 2 modulo 7. Right? So 12 power 5 is congruent to minus 2 to the power 5 modulo 7. But this is minus 32. So minus 32. So this is plus 3 modulo 7. Right? Just I am adding some plus 35 here. Plus 35 here. So I get 3. Okay. So 12 power 5 is congruent to 3 modulo 7. So actually for this 12, 3 is the least number, which is also the inverse of 12 modulo 7. So the given linear congruence is this one. I am going to multiply on both the sides by 3 so that this 12 will become 1. I can find my x. So this is the congruent equation given. On both the sides I am multiplying by 3 and this becomes 1 and this becomes 18. So I am getting my x. 18 modulo 7 is 4 modulo 7. 14 will go and the remaining 4. So x is congruent to 4 modulo 7. This is the solution, right? This is the solution. So what is the solution here? X is equal to 4 and if we can add 7, any 7, multiples of 7, 70. This is the general solution, right? Okay, this is the general solution. This is the general solution. Whenever we say that here the unique solution, the uniqueness represents the solution is the least residue. Unique solution means we mention that that number is the unique least residue solution. Okay students, we have found the solution x for this linear congruence, and solve this problem yourself. Solve this problem yourself. Here in this problem you have to find 17 is a prime number that will not divide this one. You have to find the inverse for this 24 so that you can multiply here to find the x. First of all, this instead of this 24 you can find the least residue. Find the 24 modulo 17 first. You will find some least residue modulo 17, and using that one you find the inverse for this 24 and find the solution x. Thank you students. Let us see in the next session Euler's theorem. Thank you.